This quinoa is good, man. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna wash it down with my vegan protein shake. Oh, did I mention, by the way, that I'm vegan? Yes, people, it's Osa Fit back with another video. I thought I'd slow it down for you guys there that still can't pronounce after the tutorial in my first video. You still can't pronounce. Yes, I'm back with another video today, and today we're going to be talking fitness. But first of all, I know you guys haven't seen me in a couple of weeks. You're probably thinking, where have you been? I thought you gave up on this YouTube thing. Nah, none of that. We keep going, we move. It's just been a busy couple of weeks, man. I'm moving soon, so I've been getting everything in order for that. But don't worry, I'm gonna keep the videos coming. We just had a small slump. We back now. Okay, let's go. So today we're going to be talking about, in my personal opinion, what is the most important part of fitness, which is diet. And I'm going to be taking you through a little trip, a little whistle stop tour of my journey with diet over the past few years and where I am today. You might be surprised by where I am, so watch to the end of the video to see what kind of things I eat today. But let's take it all the way back. Let's jump right in, all right? Let's take it all the way back. So I'd say I really started paying attention to my diet around year 11. So when I was playing rugby for my old school, I wanted to put on some muscle, but I also wanted to maintain quite a good physique as well. Obviously at that age, you're thinking about girls, you want to look good, right? You want to look fit. So I started going to the gym. We had a little weights room next to our school, and I was banging it out with my friends, banging it out with the bros at lunch, and I was starting to develop size. And it was around that time that I discovered the Hodge twins. Now, real ones know about the Hodge twins, and I was watching them on YouTube, and I would take their fitness advice on board. And they always used to be talking about cutting, yeah, cutting and bulking, you know. And when they would cut, they would focus on cutting out carbs. So this is my first kind of exposure to experimenting with my macronutrients. So I went low carb. And those of you who knew me at the time, or even know me now, know that I was extreme with it. And I'm a man of extremes. I never really do anything half-assed. And so I went balls to the wall with low carb. I'd say from about year 11 to first year of university, I was low carb. And yes, I definitely saw a reduction in things like body fat and the time it took me to put on weight, for sure. But when I say my energy levels were low, bro, they were so low. My energy levels were low. I was really lethargic. I was really irritable, and I feel like things just annoyed me a lot quicker. I remember speaking to a friend of mine in first year, and he was also doing low carb at the same time. And I remember he just started, but he said, one thing I've noticed, bro, like, have you noticed this too? He's kind of confiding in me, and he was like, have you noticed that you're just a lot more kind of angry all the time? Like, it takes a lot to kind of get you out of a mood. And it didn't used to be like that. Is that anything to do with the carbs? And I could relate. Like, it was scary, but I could relate. I'd become much more of a grumpy guy since I started low carb. And that was just one of the things. We all know how important year 11, year 12, year 13 are. In year 11, you're doing a bulk of your GCSEs, and I needed energy at that time. So I definitely saw I was having to resort to things like energy drinks, Red Bull, things like that to stay awake, rather than just my diet keeping me awake. And I look back at that now, and I think that likely had a lot to do with the fact that I was eating mainly like just chicken and runner beans, asparagus, things like that. And on top of that, the constipation was different. I was struggling. Before I started low carb, I was quite a regular guy. When I'm talking regular, I mean number twos. And I was probably going about twice a day. But I remember in first year, I was down to about 3 times a week. And that was not normal for me. And on top of me going less frequently, they were definitely a lot harder to pass. I know it's TMI, but yeah, to summarize, that phase of my life had to come to an end for 3 main reasons: constipation, tiredness and lethargy, and cravings. I was definitely craving sugar so much, and I was the kind of guy who was cutting out fruit, cutting out bread, everything, just normal things. Rice, even rice. Yes, imagine how my mom took that. When she was trying to give me rice and stew, I was like, mom, just give me the meat. She was not having it, but I cut out all of those things that a lot of people would consider staples. And even though I was seeing gains, I was a lot more vascular, I was a lot more ripped even than I am now, but I was tired and I didn't have as much energy as I used to. So towards the end of first year, when it got to exam season, I was like, nah, and I gave in. And I remember the weekend that I gave in, I just pigged out on Uncle Ben's. Yes, me, Uncle Ben's. Instead of me cooking rice, like my mom has taught me, I went lazy and I just pigged out on loads of Uncle Ben's. You know the Mexican one that looks kind of like jollof? Yeah, that was me. I was desperate. I was really craving. So yeah, so towards the end of first year, I started to indulge in carbs. And I say indulge because I've spoken about this in my unpopular fitness opinions video. When you're low carb, in my experience, and you start to wean off of it and start to let carbs back in, it's hard to control yourself and you bounce back hard. So fast forward now to the summer holidays before second year, your man had put on weight, bro. I had a little mushroom top, my face was chubby, it was peak. So I looked at myself in the mirror around that time and I was like, what have I become? I've gone from being relatively hench to now low-key a bit tubs, you know, a bit chubby. I've never been someone in my life who's ever been that overweight or fat. I've never gone through one of those phases. We thank God. But I was getting dangerously close that summer. And there were other things going on in my life. I was quite stressed with different things. So I was comfort eating as well, and there was no control over my diet. I wasn't trying to limit any particular macronutrient or my calories or anything. I was just, I see, I eat. I'm sad, I eat. I'm stressed, I eat. It was just peak. And so I was putting on the weight quickly, so something had to change. I even remember meeting up with one of my friends from my old school during that summer holiday, and he was like, Stephen, you've gotten wider. And I remember the optimist in me trying to kick in and comfort me and tell me, oh, he's just saying that because you've gotten hencher, like you obviously put on muscle mass, been going gym, innit? But deep down, I knew man was saying, nah, you're fat, bruv. And it hurt, honestly, but I needed that. When he told me that, it hit me that the negligence that I'd given to my diet was now visible to everyone. I couldn't hide it, so something had to change. So fast forward to second year. Now I'm at a stage where I'm not happy with how I look, with how my body is and my overall fitness levels. I'll be running up the stairs, one flight of stairs, getting to the top and almost having an asthma attack. It was peak. So I had to change something. And one of my relatives, I've talked about it before, my dad was ill with a type of cancer that I recently found out about that time could be related to diet. The things you eat could play a role in increasing or decreasing the risk of developing that cancer. So here I am thinking, you know what, my dad had it, I don't want to get it. So let me radically change my diet in a way that incorporates better health, not just how I look, but also how I look as well, and also can help with my fitness goals. But my main priority was health. Whereas before with low carb, it was definitely aesthetics and how I looked. I was trying to get the bodybuilding physique. Now I wanted to focus predominantly health, but I also wanted to keep training and look good. So fast forward into second year, I remember I hadn't quite made my mind up on the direction I wanted to go in. So I went through this weird abstract phase of eating in the first 3 months of second year, where I remember I was kind of low carb, but not quite. I was eating a lot of cashew nuts at the time, and I used to bang out soups. So the things with soups where I knew that they would keep you fuller for longer because they're predominantly liquid. And so it was basically like drinking, right? So I was just eating loads and loads of soups, and I'd pour cashews in them and I'd just eat the soups. You know those like plastic cups you get from like Tesco's or something? Yeah, it was peak, and I was banging those out, and my housemates would just look at me sideways. I know any of my housemates that are watching this, they're like, yeah, you used to eat cashew and soup. My eating habits are crazy, but we move. So now halfway through second year, I discovered a new set of YouTubers, right? So I kind of moved away from the Hodge twins and their fitness advice, because they were predominantly focused on like putting on muscle and aesthetics. There wasn't really too much reference to scientific literature connected to medicine and health, which was my primary objective to increase my health now. So that was my priority. So I started watching this guy called Vegan Gains, right? You can probably see where this is going. So he was a guy who was quite hench, and he had vegan in his title. And the way I perceived veganism before I started watching Vegan Gains was, you eat like a rabbit, you get bare skinny, and you can't gain any muscle, and then you get some vitamin deficiencies. So that was a lot to do with my culture, my upbringing, things like that. Meat had always been the core of the meals, or a staple to say the least. And it was now really surprising for me to see this guy who was vegan, who had a bit of muscle in him. I was like, there's got to be a catch. Man's on the roids, man's on the juice. But I started watching him, and I'd really like how he'd reference a lot of journal articles and things like that. And sooner or later, I started to warm up to the idea of cutting meat out of my diet. At the same time, I started watching some less scientifically backed people as well, like Durian Rider, Freely the Banana Girl, and these were like extreme people. If you've seen Vegan Gains, you probably think he verges on extreme sometimes as well, but at least with him, he backed up with what he said. Either way, I was second year, I was young, I was just watching these people, and with me, when I get in a phase or I get on a wave, I get proper into it. As I said before, I'm kind of a man of extremes. So I started watching these people, and with Durian Rider and Freely the Banana Girl, they ate a diet that was predominantly raw food based. In Durian Rider's case, he was a fruitarian. Yes, just fruit, man, just ate fruit, the occasional nut or things like that, but it was mainly fruit. I know, I know. And Freely the Banana Girl as well, as her name suggests, she ate mainly fruit. But with me, I wasn't gonna do that. And she also ate this diet called Raw Till 4, which meant she eats all raw foods, nothing cooked until 4. So I was watching these guys, and at first I thought they were all crazy, but I really started to warm up to their ideas, especially with Vegan Gains. A lot of his arguments were convincing me. A lot of his arguments on how veganism decreases your risk of chronic disease, stroke, cardiovascular disease. It was really starting to convince me. And as I'd just come from low carb and had quite a negative experience with it in terms of my health overall, I was now being promised this new diet that could turn my health around. I know Freely used to talk a lot about it reversing chronic disease and it reversing some of the effects of old, more exclusive, extreme diets that you may have done. I was sucking it all up, and I was watching these videos, and I was like, you know what? Veganism is the way. I gotta put my boys onto this. Like, we're gonna get healthy, you know? These foods, fried foods and fast food is killing my people. We need to get on this veganism wave. So like I did with low carb, I went balls to the wall, and I was eating fruit, veg on the daily. No meat. I cut it out completely almost right away. And I remember all my friends thought I was crazy. And I was, to be fair, I was eating like 60% watermelons, honeydew melons, bananas. I wasn't really touching anything else really. It was mainly fruit. And in the evenings I'd have like rice or pasta or something like that. But it was a lot of fruit. And I wasn't really controlling my diet other than cutting out meat. So I wasn't really planning my meals too much. I was just like, is it meat? If it's not, I'm eating it. And to be fair, I felt a lot better with regards to my energy levels. I was taking on a lot more carbs, but I seemed to be dropping weight, which I liked. And I did feel healthier. I definitely felt a lot healthier than I did on low carb. And over time, I started to realize that eating loads of fruit probably didn't do good things for my blood sugar levels, as there's quite a lot of simple sugars in fruit, and I didn't want to be getting those constant insulin spikes throughout the day. I'd rather maintain it at a more consistent level. So I started to focus more on complex carbs, so things like sweet potatoes, brown rice, and then I really started to see my health improve. During this time, I really started to experiment with cooking and cooking of nice vegan dishes, and I really started to enjoy being vegan. Also, when I was on a low carb diet, one thing I didn't mention, I started to develop what felt like lactose intolerance. Anytime I would drink milk or eat something with like cheese in it, I was feeling it. I was getting gas. It was mad. And I don't think that was anything to do with the fact that I was on low carb. I just think it happened to coincide with it at that time. And so when I started eating vegan, I didn't have to eat dairy anymore, and that was also something that kept me on it for longer. So by the end of the second year, I was full-fledged vegan. I wasn't eating any meat and I felt good. But around this time, I also started to run a lot more and do a lot more cardio and focus on the gym less. So it got to third year and your man was skinny. I was looking mager. It was terrible. I thought I was healthy because I was running more and I was eating well. My digestion and everything was fixed. A lot of the symptoms I had whilst I was eating a low carb diet in terms of constipation, things had all been relieved. So that was all good. But your boy was skinny, and I'm a young man. I want to look fit. I want to look healthy. And I lost all my muscle and it was my fault. So here I was, third year, kind of panicking because I started to become a lot more self-conscious, a lot less confident in my body. So your boy slipped up. So from the halfway through third year, I just gave up on the veganism completely and started banging gym again and eating meat like a full-blown wildebeest. But at this time, I was just eating what I want. So I was eating carbs all the time, eating meat all the time as well. And for a good period of time, I'd say for the second half of third year, it suited me. I was putting on size, I was going to the gym, I wasn't putting on too much fat, because even me, I don't really like junk food or fast food or sweet things that much. And it felt good to not really have any restrictions on my diet anymore. It felt good to take a break from really watching what I was eating. But by the end of third year, I started to become more conscious of my health again. Not that anything was happening, but as I progressed in my medical studies, I really started to worry about my risk of getting certain chronic diseases in the future. And I just wanted to optimize overall health. I knew that eating the way I was could work for a period of time, especially during my youth while I was young, but it would eventually catch up with me. So I had to watch my diet a bit more. So if I fast forward from the end of third year to now, in that time, I've been trying veganism, a plant-based diet, on and off. But as of May last year, 2019, I made a pledge to myself to eat plant-based for as long as I could. And I had my first slip up in September, and I've had 2 slip ups since. So I've had 3 slip ups since May 2019. But on the whole, I am plant-based and I'm very happy with it. So you're probably thinking, how does this affect you? Obviously, you lift weights, obviously you go to the gym, you've got quite an energy demanding job. And yes, a plant-based diet can fit in with all of these things. I'm being honest. I remember when I first started veganism, Googling, YouTubing, can you be a vegan? Can you eat a plant-based diet and still put on muscle, still be hench? And there were so many long-winded answers, and most of the guys that were giving me answers, I was thinking, nah, this guy's on steroids. Just very long-winded, and they weren't really giving you clear directions on how you can eat this way and still have a body that's comparable to someone who eats meat that goes to the gym as well. So for me, I had to find out for myself how to get the right amount of protein from what I'm eating. And by God's grace, I'm at a place now where I'm really happy being plant-based. As you've seen in some of my videos, I rave on about my vegan protein shakes. I'll plug them, even though they're not paying me. Vegan Protein by SciMX. Brilliant. Chocolate flavor is the one. I found replacements for a lot of the things that used to contain dairy or meat. And you know what? I've seen improvements in my energy levels, my skin, my overall health and well-being, and I've still been able to make gains. And it's really helped that a lot of restaurants have started to include more vegan options. And I feel like in 2020, if you're a gym going guy or girl, it's fairly easy to eat a plant-based diet or vegan diet and still make gains and still lead a normal life. If you are going to eat plant-based though, this is not me telling you what to do. You are the master of your own life. I'm taking no ownership. I would say, please go to your GP first, consult with them. There are certain things you need to know about. For example, vitamin B12. You're likely not going to be getting enough of that in a vegan or plant-based diet. So make sure you're supplementing with vitamin B12. You may also not be taking in enough iron, so talk to your GP about that. You may need to take some supplemental iron just to make sure you're keeping your levels optimized. If you're already anemic or you've already got a chronic disease, please definitely talk to your GP. It may not be the best fit for you. But for me personally, I've definitely seen an improvement in a lot of aspects of my life. And even though it seemed extreme and all my family gave me hell when I first started, I don't regret taking on a plant-based diet. So yeah, if you got any questions about that, how I managed to maintain it, what I eat, please ask me, shoot me a message, put a comment down below. It is OSXFO on Twitter or Instagram, you already know. And people, thank you so much for the support on the videos. Every single view means so much to me. Thank you so much. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, like the video. And yeah, that's been another video. Gyms are back soon, so your boy is happy. That's why I'm in a good mood. As I said, I'll be giving you guys a life update soon. There's so much that's been going on, but God is good through it all. So yeah, love you guys so much. I'm humbled so much by all the support. God bless you all. Peace.